are Tyrians. We are many races, several professions. We practice the arts of combat as well as healing. We have foes, and we fight them without mercy. And it's time for us to claim back what is ours. It's time for us to claim back Tyria from the terror of the Elder Dragons. We can't go on living our lives in fear. We have to fight. We have to make a stand. This is our story.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode number 11 of the Chronicles of Tyria podcast, a Guild Wars 2 podcast for fans by fans. We'd like to thank everyone that came out and tuned in to last week's episodes. I'd like to point out that we hit 90 subscribers, so we're slowly approaching number 100. If you want to check out any of our previous podcasts, you can view them at CoTPodcast.com or check out our YouTube channel at CoTPodcast. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, tell some friends maybe. I'm here, Slag here by the way. I'm here with Diint and Naveen.
Hello.
And our special guest, welcome back, Alucardalina.
Hello, hello.
So we decided to bring in Alucardalina because we were going to be talking about the Mursaat today is our main focus. The Mursaat and the White Mantle and the Shining Blade. And we're going to be back to our typical kind of schedule where we start off with a community section, answer some, do some questions and answers, that kind of a thing, and then we'll move on to the lore in a later half. So I guess we will start off. I don't know, Naveen, do you want to start with the question and answers, or do you have any things Chronicles of Tyria wise that you want to talk about? Anything that's going on?
No, I will leave this for next episode. For the community piece, basically, this week I tweeted on Twitters, for those who are not following us, it's Chronicles Tyria, so at Chronicles Tyria. I asked the community a question, and I asked them basically, why do you think world versus world exist in Guild Wars 2 when it comes to the lore perspective? Any speculations? And this was from last show, basically, where we had Crackbone with us from Guild Wars 2 World vs. World.com. And we were asking ourselves that. So I decided to ask the community, and we've got some answers back. Jalinar tweeted us he said the only battle that had 3 major army at the same time was the Guild Wars. Since it's in the mist, any race can participate. That's the only thing I can think of when I see WVW. Erica L. Friends says, I think it's like whatever happens in the mists stays in the mists type thing. Someone else tweeted, AJ Wolf 84 tweets, alternate relatives crossing over in the mists, fighting for cosmic dominance. I thought that was interesting. Mm-hmm. And the last tweet that we got was from Elizabeth Clare, and she said, freakish instability in the mists, portals to copy worlds, not unlike the shards opening up. So I thought that Jalinar's version saying, and I think Lagwyn, you came up with that idea as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about and kind of what I referenced last time with Crackbone, that I thought it would be kind of a cop-out answer, where we know that, I mean, there's a lot more lore on the Mists, and maybe we'll talk about that more when we talk about, the gods and all the realms of the gods, that kind of thing in a future episode. But, yeah, SVPVP is all about reenacting and reliving major battles in Tyria's history, like the Battle of Kylo and things like that. And I had said that I think if ArenaNet said, oh, well, that's kind of the same thing that's happening with World versus World, I think that's kind of a cop-out answer, and I wouldn't accept it. But basically what Jalinar is saying is more or less the same thing, and I like this idea better because it's a little bit more lore related. Where we never, the whole game is called Guild Wars,
Right.
and we never get to see or play
In the
the
Guild
Guild
Wars.
Wars.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's very very even loosely mentioned in all of Guild Wars 1, and it's basically, for those of you who don't know, I won't go too much into it, but it's basically Ascalon, Krita, and Or, and they fought each other,
Yep.
and that was the Guild Wars. And it would make sense that you have, that's why there's 3 worlds, where rather than one on one, or maybe 4. I guess there could be some lore behind that. Maybe, and I know I'll be doing that, and maybe we can get Jalinar and a few of our other members and anybody else out there once we get into the game. Maybe I mean, obviously, if you're playing world versus world, you're going to be taking keeps, you're going to be defending for your server, but try to look around for maybe some lore stuff, maybe some new Crichton or old Escalonian or something in any of the keeps. Maybe we'll find something that kind of alludes to that maybe this is a reenactment of the Guild Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's a very good point, actually. Now I really want to go in World versus World to go and try to explore if we could find anything in old Escalonian or New Crichton.
well, actually, I mean, if it's going to be reenacting the Guild Wars, theoretically it would be old Ascalonian for the one server that's representing Ascalon, and then
Yeah.
you'd have, I guess, old Crichton, maybe, for the one that's old Krita, and then maybe if Or had its own language, would be the other one.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Orion.
Yeah, Orion, which we don't even know if though there are written languages for that. So good luck trying to decipher it if it is. We have no reference point.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that's probably the current. I'm gonna call that. That's my current running theory for why World versus World is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, maybe it doesn't really make sense because it is different worlds, but the worlds are named after places in the game, and they're pretty much identical. All the 3 worlds, other than the Eternal Battlegrounds, which is its own thing, the 3 worlds are similar. Actually, I think they're identical versions of each one. Like, obviously, there's a jumping puzzle in each one, but it's pretty much the same in each one. You just get, new achievements and a chest at the end.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that the other people mentioned, these kind of alternate realities, that also could be what's going on. It just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't, kind of breaks the immersion.
Right.
I feel like,
Too
it's just,
complex.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I know that in ArenaNet's not latest blog, but one of the most recent ones, they were talking about a few things about PvP, blah blah blah, and all that. At the end, they said something among. It's not the exact same quote, but they said, and about World versus World, that, my friend, is another story. So that leads to maybe they're going to post a blog soon about World versus World, and we're going to actually know a little bit more about it, and maybe they'll just say, hey, well, yeah, this is what's happening. Everything that you've just explained, Lag, that's probably going to be in that blog post.
Right. Yeah, that was for those of you who don't know, that was the Pillars of Guild Wars 2.
Oh, right.
They had the
Thanks.
4 videos. It was combat, personal story, PvP, and dynamic events, I think, was the other one.
That's a good question.
But I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But yeah, I would be interested to see. And it's kind of weird because last week it seemed like we were getting 1 to 2 blog posts like a day, almost every day. And then like it just, I don't know, maybe it was the weekend. But I mean, maybe they don't post on the weekends. I don't know. But it seems like it just kind of like, to me, I feel like it's dead. And
Well, I mean,
feel
they
like
they
I'm
just
spoiled now.
right. We're spoiled with Guild Wars 2 stuff. They just updated the game. Also, we had to download like more than 10,000 files. So I'm pretty sure that most of them were working on that as well. But I think the community team worked during the weekdays and not the weekends.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, And actually, we do have two other questions that we're going to move on to next. But Naveen, I was figuring, did you want to talk about Outrun a Centaur at all?
Oh, well, yeah, I guess I could talk about that.
Yeah, I figured that would be what you were going to plug on the community section, but I
uh,
guess I'll do it.
okay, yeah, go right ahead.
Well, I'm not going to talk about it. I just bring it up.
Yeah. Well, I started a personal blog basically this week, and it's called Outrun a Centaur. So it's outrunacentaur.com. And I did my first post about waiting for Guild Wars 2. It's from guildmag.com. They have a blog carnival going on, and you have to blog basically about what you've been doing for the past 5 years. You know, they announced Guild Wars 2 5 years ago. The beta was supposed to be playable within the second part of 2008. I mean,
Yeah.
we're, in the second part of 2012. But anyways, I talk about that on the blog, and that blog's going to be, blogging about being a gamer, but being about being a wife and a mother as well as a gamer. And there's going to be art later on posted on this, and I'm going to have some videos. And I already created a YouTube channel, but there's nothing on it, so there's not much of a point of linking people to there yet. But yeah, I'm going to have some videos and art and stuff like that. So, yep, it's going to be basically my views on gaming and family time, fun times.
All right. Well, so now there you go. You guys can look for things in the future from Outrun
Yes.
a Centaur.
Yay.
All right, so let's move on to. I guess we can go with. I think we decided officially on the podcast we're going to call him Zoo Zebra.
Yeah.
So Zoo Zebra had two questions.
Mhm.
So put these out to everybody here on the podcast and get everybody's. They're all kind of speculative questions.
Mhm.
Um, but his first one reads, "Hey, I just thought of a question, and it must be taken seriously, please. If the Char had a war with the Asura, and they could only use their technology, who will win? Which race has better technology, in your opinions? Thanks."
Well, the Char versus the Asura, it's tough because they have a very different kind of technology. Um, I would go with the Asura just because they have golems.
Mm.
I disagree.
Yeah, me too.
Really? You both
Yeah.
would be going for Char? What?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be rooting for them personally, but I would expect them to win against the Asura, just mainly because their technology is so much geared toward blowing stuff up as
Mhm.
opposed to
It's
the
war
Asura, which
based.
is yes,
Yeah.
yes, very much so.
Yeah, I think I have to. Naveen, originally I was thinking Asura based on the crazy technological minds that they have and some of the stuff that you read when you read Edge of Destiny, and I don't want to spoil that for anybody, but some of the stuff that SNAF comes up with
Mhm.
to do things is very, very innovative. But that's one Asura. The entire Char race is a military race. And yes, he says using only their technology, which is fine, but their mindset still, I mean, they're tactical. They fought in wars for centuries.
Mhm.
They know what they're doing. I mean, the Asura don't really, they're not fighters, they're thinkers.
Mhm.
The
And that's
Char have
good.
already the
Yeah.
Char have already won a war, so they have
Yeah,
that behind
exactly.
them.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, that's three for the Char, one for the Asura.
Yeah, but you know me. I mean, I like Prince Rurik and Logan Thackeray, now the Asura. So I guess I'll always vote for the underdogs.
We're the jerks.
The jerks.
Dog being the key word.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. Oh,
So,
jeez.
his second question is, I was thinking about the Dream of Dreams and then thought to myself, if a Sylvari loses his or her memories, all of it, will she lose his or her connection to the Dream of Dreams because they forgot all about it? So, what do y'all think?
I don't think so. I think at some point, if a Sylvari loses their memories, but they're reminded about the dream of um, about the dream of dreams, like all they have to do is just commune with the tree again,
Hmm.
right? And they would not relearn everything, but I mean, get basic knowledge of stuff.
We don't really
My
know.
question would be basically I need to know specifics on how exactly did they lose their memory. Was it some sort of like blunt trauma to the head? If so, I think we are making an assumption that the Sylvari, although be it humanoid, are very much have a very similar anatomy to humans, which is not the case. They are entirely plant-based. They do not have a brain. The fact they are moving around and speaking and all this other stuff is entirely magical. So I think that for them to have some sort of physical interference with their memory would be extremely unlikely.
That's a good point you bring out. They look so much like humans that sometimes I forget that they're all made of plants, basically.
Hmm.
So that they do not have, like you said, like a brain, because they don't, right?
No, they don't. They don't have they don't have blood. They don't have
Uh-huh.
internal organs like a human does.
Huh, that's
So,
something I never really thought about.
But the other issue being is that they learn like a human does, though.
that's true too.
So,
Hmm.
I mean, it's completely up for grabs there, I think.
Yeah, and I know Naveen and I were talking about this the other night that, you know what? I was gonna say it, but it's kind of spoilery, so maybe not.
Oh, come on.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't want to know some of the Sylvari starting personal story.
Skip 1 minute ahead.
Yeah. And I can say that both of us did not know anything about this till watching one of the most recent Wooden Potatoes Guild Wars 2 countdowns. Because we both didn't either play this specific Sylvari storyline or didn't get far enough in it, in Naveen's case.
Yeah.
But apparently there's a Sylvari who you meet somehow, like I said, I don't know what combination of story it is, who has absolutely no connection to the Dream of Dreams whatsoever. Just doesn't have it. Not lost it, just never had it in the beginning. And Kaae theorizes that he came from a different pale tree in the game.
So meaning that there's more than just one tree.
Right.
But
She mentions that her roots spread all over Tyria. So, I mean, there were more than one seed, but
Right.
she also, like, specifically mentions that her roots spread over all of the Tyrian world.
Well, that could mean from outside Tyrian world or Tyrian continent.
Tyrian world.
Well, I mean, and this is something else that was brought up on that episode that he said was, obviously there was tons of seeds. There had to have been a tree have left those seeds in the first place. So one of the other theories is maybe that this Sylvari, because we don't know if they die of old age, we just don't know. Maybe this Sylvari is so old from the previous pale tree, whichever one that gave the seeds that planted the current one, that he's so old that he just doesn't remember anything. I mean, it's all speculation, but...
There would be nothing there to learn depending on how old he was.
Exactly, yeah.
like he would be withering.
We don't know, though. I mean, they could literally live forever.
Yeah.
We really don't know. And they're only... The ones that we know outside of this guy are 25 years old. So, I mean, they could live essentially forever if they're not in battle. I mean, I'm going to say probably not, but you don't know.
Right.
He could be like a tree, and as they get older, they get stronger.
That's true, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we'll just make sure Naveen puts where the spoiler starts and when to skip ahead to in the description so that you guys don't get stuck with any kind of spoilery stuff.
Yeah. Edit spoiler stuff.
Yeah, Dint, did you have anything you wanted to chime in on any of that?
Nope. I mean, I added my 2 cents.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess that pretty much rounds up. Actually, no. I'm sorry. Alucardalina, how about you? Project Tyria, or anything else that you've got going on? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, I do have new screenshots up on Project Tyria, and I'm going to have more this week. I'm a bit late on reposting my second number of screenshots, but there's more. I went out and found the Hint of Naveen, which you could have actually seen in the beta weekend event 3, and it was beautiful.
Oh, was it?
Yes. And there was a PvP port there that you can see in PvE now.
Huh.
And you can see part of Sanctum Kaae.
Oh, yeah?
Which has a huge wall around it now. And you see them everywhere. There's these Tengu that you find at these walls. And so I can only assume that the Tengu have now taken over Sanctum Kaae.
Huh.
So,
Interesting.
Wow.
yeah, so in finding a lot of these screenshots and stuff, a lot of speculation arises, so I recommend that the viewers check it out.
All right.
Definitely. Every time you put new pictures on their website, I'm always like, oh, what? That's crazy. I remember the first post you made, I was like, to my husband, I said, look, sweetie, this is such an amazing project. You have to look. And he was like, yeah, hold on. Once he took a look at it, it was like, wow, really? So it's really interesting every time you post something. I'm really glad that you've taken your time to do that project too, because it can show players and non-players how different the two games are as well.
I get a lot of people actually telling me that they haven't played Guild Wars 1, and seeing the screenshots in Guild Wars 2, from Guild Wars 2 and the comparisons, that they have learned a lot about the past just from the screenshots.
Wow, that's cool.
Awesome.
Nice. Kudos to you.
And that, for people that want to check it out, it's projecttyria.blogspot.com.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess the last thing, how about your character? I believe I saw you put up, is it chapter 5, part 2 or 3?
Both.
Okay, both. So I haven't caught up myself. So is there anything, new developments with that, with your character's main story, or the Ventari's Refugees? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, I'm working on my next post for Ventari's Refugees, and the most important thing about, I guess, my story so far is that I've actually had them make it to Ascalon. So all that time in the Shiver Peaks is now gone, so...
Alright. Well, now you guys know a little bit more about what stuff's going to be coming up. Stuff's already out there. You go check out all of Alucardalina's projects. They're all awesome.
Yep.
So, and I think with that, we'll move on to our lore piece, unless anybody else has anything else they want to mention.
I'm good.
I did notice one small thing that kind of got me really excited over the weekend. If you go to YouTube, actually, I want if you're at everyone who's here, do this real quick. Just go to YouTube.
Okay, going there right now.
You don't have to watch a video or anything. Type in the search bar COTP and stop there. You'll notice CoTPodcast is actually in the list of people, like mass searches is in that list. So we are bumping up in there. So raise the roof, holler, or whatever the kids are saying these days.
Wow, that's cool.
I was really excited.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I didn't even notice that. Thanks, people. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you very. I mean, like I said, we hit 90 subscribers. We're over 3,000 views right now. I mean, it's awesome. So, like I said, there's no. We'd like to get to 100 subscribers as soon as possible, but really, like, if you guys want to take your time, it's cool because we have no idea what we're gonna do as a thank you yet. So, I mean, I've been watching it slowly tick up to 90, and I'm like, crap, we got to come up with something. Maybe the last 10 people will take their time.
Yeah.
Have our own Guild Wars con in game.
Yeah, right. Well, we are. Well, I guess we can kind of mention it here. We are thinking about, as it gets closer, maybe even the Friday before the launch, of doing a farewell to Guild Wars 1 kind of party where everybody's going to meet up in Guild Wars 1. Anybody that's interested, and just reminisce and talk about, things that they loved about Guild Wars 1 and how excited they are for the second one. But I mean, we'll talk more on that as we get closer to that, but we'll give everybody kind of a teaser about that right now. So,
right. And it's not a forever farewell. It's just like
right.
for the next few months farewell.
Right. I mean, we'll be back. Well, I'm not. You know what? I'm not even gonna say that I'll be back in Guild Wars 1. I'll be back to check for mini pets.
Yeah, basically.
But
I have to be back.
well, yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Gladly, but
Yeah. But yeah. So anyway.
I won't. As soon as I'm installing Guild Wars 1. It'll just be taking up space on my computer.
Aww.
But I was just joking. Saying it was gonna get the full 21 gun salute and everything like that.
No.
send it out to sea.
Yeah, right.
Yup.
Pyre for Guild Wars 1. All right.
It'd have to be very
Or I could go out with a bang and I'll just give it a whole searing.
There you go. I-O. Good times. See? Reminiscing about it already. And speaking of reminiscing of Guild Wars 1, why don't we move on to today's lore topic, where we are going to be discussing, like we said, the Mursaat, the White Mantle, the Shining Blade, and then talk a little bit about where they all are, Ministry Guard, Seraph, and all that kind of stuff for Guild Wars 2, and then kind of some speculation, things like that. So to actually start us off on the Mursaat, we're going to send it over to Alucardalina.
Okay.
No pressure.
I hope I'm ready. Okay. So, basically, the short rundown of the Mursaat are that they are humanoid spellcasters. They have a certain power that if you do not have the gift of true sight, you may never even get to see them unless they allow you to. And not much is known about them before the year of 1070 AE, but they do predate humanity. The way that they look, they have 3 elongated toes instead of feet, and they have black feathers protruding from their backs. It's not specifically said that they're wings, but or that they can help them fly, but they do float. And they wear golden armor and masks. So it's easy to get them confused with gods, which is what Saul D'Alessio does. And now getting into the longer story, of course, I'll have to leave most of that to you guys, because there's not much known about the Mursaat. It's more of the story with the Shining Blade and the White Mantle. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So, go ahead.
Sorry. No, continue.
No, I want to hear what you said.
No, you were continuing your...
No, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up.
I'm a bit awkward, so...
You make me feel all bubbly inside.
Anyway.
Okay, so I guess I can move on to the White Mantle.
Well, I guess first I'll talk
to
about
add.
Saul,
Yeah.
if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I was trying to get you to do.
Okay.
And then I thought you were done.
Okay. So Saul D'Alessio was a gambler and a bandit. He wasn't so at first, but he was kind of stuck on some money issues, and he resorted to stealing and gambling to get rid of that. And this was shortly after the end of the Guild Wars. He was caught, of course, because, the bad guys always lose. And he was exiled into a dense forest, where he stumbles upon a race of what he sees as gods upon the brink of his death. And of course, these are the Mursaat, and they return him to health, making him not only feel better, but look better as well. In which he comes back to tell the story of the unseen ones, is what he calls them. And he proclaims them as his new gods. And when he returns, he is garbed in the white robes, and they don't have any sleeves. He looks better. And so a lot of people are starting to believe he's a changed man and starting to believe in these gods. This is where, I guess, some white mantle starts up. So, if you want to get on that, I can talk about the rest of it later once all of that is discussed.
All right, Dan, if you want to jump to the white mantle here.
Yes. So I got my push to talk. I was just going, and then I was like, nope, no one's gonna hear me. That was my segue into it. After Saul came back, after preaching about the unseen ones or the Mursaat, people started to believe him and started to really start thinking that these Mursaat and these quote gods were like the legit thing, which is interesting because I don't know, personally I just find it interesting how the what comes to be the white mantle would just easily completely drop their beliefs in the six gods and just start worshiping the Mursaat. But I don't know, that's interesting. I guess that could be discussed on a later episode. But yeah, so they started worshiping the Mursaat, or the unseen ones, and then they in exchange to being worshipped, basically, what they managed to do is they managed to help Kaae against the Char, because there was the whole fighting and feuding between Kaae and the Char. Now, after the Mursaat successfully protected Kaae from the Char attacks, they basically kind of claimed, made the official claim of Kaae as theirs and started spreading out more. And as a thanks for that, no, sorry, that's wrong. But after that, basically the White Mantle started becoming very, very power hungry, extremely power hungry, and started just being kind of jerks to everyone. Naveen.
Yeah, come on. I'm not gonna start liking the White Mantle because they're jerks.
What's the term called? Defector?
Yep.
Are you gonna defect? Yeah. So after they start becoming power hungry, that's when it really starts to show the true colors of the Mursaat, because it was around this time that the Mursaat learned about the Flame Seeker prophecies and how the Mursaat were going to eventually, fall and be destroyed. So they started to kind of manipulate the White Mantle to, instead of just kind of help ruling the land in a very just way, they started manipulating the White Mantle to kind of protect the Mursaat in a very greedy sense. And so that's really where, I guess, in my opinion at least, just besides the fact that Saul D'Alessio was basically leading this whole group and he was still kind of a bag of meat. But it wasn't just that, it was the Mursaat kind of corrupting the entire group from within as well. where the White Mantle really started to go bad, and then the Shining Blade had to kind of step in as to kind of take over them, which I found really interesting because I think in Guild Wars 1 they did an excellent job with this, because at first I was thoroughly convinced. I was on the side of Saul D'Alessio. I mean, his character development and things like that, his character design in and of itself seemed very trustworthy at first.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the Shining Blades start coming in and start like messing with stuff. And then I'm like, who are these guys? What are you jerks doing? Interrupting me helping the White Mantle. These are basic cops. You need to slow down, okay? And then like the true colors start showing up. I'm like, oh. Well, I'm sorry, Shining Blade. I said all those mean things about you. And it just like completely turned over on its head. And I think they did an excellent job about that. But that's getting into the Shining Blade, and I'm going to go ahead and throw that to Lag.
All right, yeah, and like Diint and Alucardalina kind of mentioned, the White Mantle is getting corrupted by the Mursaat, and their whole thing is they start taking the Chosen, which are the people that can actually see the Mursaat, and then they start taking them to the Temple of Ages, which they're actually sacrificing them. But the Shining Blade kind of steps in it to stop that. But first, before I get to that, let's talk about the Shining Blade and their history. So they're a group of Crichtons, and their whole deal is that they don't like the White Mantle, and they want to reinstate the royal line of Krytos. This originally started with King Doric back in the day, and they were carried on all through the years until the Char invaded, and King Jaden, who was the current king at the time, he abandoned his throne, and this allowed the White Mantle to kind of come in and take control because they had a lack of any kind of governing body at that time period. So, and as we know, as time goes on, they eventually they help reinstate Queen Salma, and then eventually, now in Guild Wars 2, they're around Queen Jenna. But anyway, so the Shining Blade were suspicious of the White Mantle and the Unseen Ones from the beginning. So they started off by kind of taking the fight to the White Mantle in the Maguma jungle, all over that area, using these kind of guerrilla tactics. And a lot of the time you see they kind of pop out of trees, and they just drop down from, nowhere when you're playing the game. And that kind of is their MO throughout the majority of Guild Wars 1. So, again, like I had mentioned, they would capture the Chosen from the White Mantle because they were being taken to the Temple of the Unseen, where they were then being sacrificed on a bloodstone. So you originally think, like, oh, they're capturing people and taking them away and kidnapping them, but really they're capturing the Chosen to save them. So you meet this character, Evenia, in Guild Wars 1, and she takes the characters to the Henge of Denravi, like Alucardalina mentioned earlier, and you're going to steal the Scepter of Ore, because this you can trade to Vizier Kilbran in return. He's going to help the Shining Blade. So that's your whole goal, as you go and you try to get the Scepter of Ore, and while you're going to make the trade, you get betrayed by Marcus, and then most of the Shining Blade are either captured or killed, or they're kind of scattered all about throughout southern Shiver Peaks. And then you, Evenia and Sadra, I think it's Sadra, I think that was her name. Anyway, they're both captured, and they're going to be killed on a Bloodstone in the Bloodstone Caves. And this is all, you're all playing through the majority of this, and it's different missions in Guild Wars 1, which I have kind of a blur of most of these missions because I don't even really remember playing most of them.
Ice Caves of Sorrow.
Yeah, there it is. That's the one.
Close to what? Thunderhead Keep.
Yep, Naveen's favorite.
Oh, I want to do it again.
Yeah, right now. Down.
Yeah,
I don't have my armor infused.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I
do
go
that
shit
too.
myself.
I do. I'm just picking on you.
Yeah, I know.
So basically, you free Evenia, and then Marcus dies, and then the Shining Blade and the players head over to the Fire Island chain to open the door of Kamali, but I don't really want to talk too much about that because I don't know if Alucardalina is going to go into any more of that as we go further on in the Mursaat story.
I can cover like some of the Door of Kamali, but probably not all of it.
Okay, well, I wasn't really going to go too much into it, so I'll just leave that. But we'll eventually, you go out towards the Fire Island chain, but we can talk about that more in a little bit. So, eventually, though, as you find out, they're defeated. The Mursaat are defeated. Avenia steps down to serve Princess Salma, because she's a princess at this point, and gives Barthalos, I guess is how you pronounce his name. He becomes the leader of the Shining Blade, and he continues the fight with against the White Mantle, while still kind of aiding Princess Salma in reestablishing the proper Crichton monarchy. So, in order to gain the upper hand, they contact Gad, the Asura. This is all Eye of the North type stuff.
Yay, Gad.
Yeah, and we see a hologram of him, like Naveen mentioned, in Guild Wars 2. In the hope of gaining, technology and weapons and stuff to help fight the White Mantle. And then the Shining Blade ends up joining the Asura to help fight off the Great Destroyer before returning to, the Crichton Civil War. And then that was pretty much all we heard of for a while. And then ArenaNet said, hey, guess what, guys? We're going to release this thing called the War in Kryta. And that pretty much takes it to a whole nother level. So now the Shining Blade have this camp in the Talmark Wilderness, and this is where Queen Salma, or Princess Salma at this time, she's going to start marching on Lion's Arch and retake the throne. And then you go and you recruit Zin and Blim, a couple of the Asura, and then you go get the Ebon Vanguard, which I think it's funny that, you sit through a whole trial for Zin, and to get the Ebon Vanguard, you just do a scavenger hunt for Kieran Thackeray. Kind of BS. And it's annoying, too.
I need Kendalls.
Yeah. Because dude can't, own up and figure out how to take a girl on a date.
That's exactly how I thought of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, whatever, Kieran. You know what? You're a jerk, and you make us do all your work for you. And then your descendant, Logan, he's a jerk too. So anyway, Thackeray's jerks, except for Gwen, but she wasn't really a Thackeray.
Oh, I hated Gwen.
Gwen's kind of a jerk
got a
too,
nasty-
but she's a cool jerk.
She's got a nasty attitude too. I think.
But
we
I
all
mean,
need to-
to be fair, she kind of has some justification in her nasty attitude.
She could tone it down a little bit.
Okay, true. I mean, she worked with Pyre, so she did tone down enough to work alongside a Char.
Yeah, I guess.
She threatened to kill him like every second, so...
Well, yeah, I mean, and if you play through the bonus mission pack as Gwen, you see how she was all captured by the Char, and you have to fight your way out and all that stuff.
Yep.
I guess we could talk about her and her descendants in another podcast.
Yeah, maybe if we do something about Destiny's Edge.
Yep.
We can talk about, how they came to be, and we can talk about Gwen.
Yep.
But yeah, so you get the Asura and you get the Ebon Vanguard, and then basically you get sent on these search and destroy missions by Princess Salma to go take down a bunch of White Mantle people, and then fight against the remaining Mursaat, and then it all culminates to this battle in Lion's Arch, and then that's pretty much the last mission for the War in Kryta. Actually, it is the last mission for War in Kryta.
Yeah, it is.
And that leads to you getting an oppressor weapon, which most people only do the War in Kryta
For
because you get the oppressor weapon.
Yeah.
All the monuments.
Yeah.
But anyway, after the battle, the forces, the Shining Blade, the Lion Guards from Lion's Arch, and the Ebon Falcons, which are a group of the Ebon Vanguard that's run by Kieran the Jerk, Zin and Blim, they win. You win the battle for Lion's Arch. And a couple days after the victory, Princess Salma issues a public proclamation saying that Shining Blade are now her personal guard and will be the royal guard for the royal family as she becomes the queen. And this begins under the leadership of Livia, who's the necromancer that you get as a hero in Eye of the North. And then Barthalos, he becomes the leader of the newly formed Seraph Guard. So that, I think, is pretty much all I can think about for the Shining Blade. I don't know if anybody else has anything that they want to add in.
No.
I mean, I have stuff to add in for the Mursaat now that you guys have talked about it. A lot of it goes over what you guys have said, and just kind of fills in some details.
Oh yeah, if
Go
you want
ahead.
to do that, that'd be great.
Okay, so yet again, hold on the topic of Saul D'Alessio, during the Char invasion, he calls upon the Mursaat to help him fight them off because they have all this stored up power that he keeps preaching about.
Mm-hmm.
And so he calls upon them for help, and they give him kind of an ultimatum. If he chooses to use their power, all who are unworthy will die. And so Saul chooses to drive the Char back, but at the cost of everyone but a few they deemed worthy in the white mantle. In which the Mursaat then imbue their powers to rest within these few. And Saul is taken away by the Mursaat, never to be seen again.
Yeah, and that's actually the bonus mission pack, I believe. You play as Saul D'Alessio.
Yes. It's probably one of the more difficult ones for me.
Yeah, definitely.
So, for the 2 years that they held Kaae in their hands, gaining more followers and power through the White Mantle, they discover the Flameseeker prophecies, which speaks of their demise at the hands of the Titans. And they attempt to prevent it by getting the Scepter of War to saw off the door of Kamali, which holds the Titans back inside the Foundry of Failed Creations. It's powered by soul batteries that are charged annually by slaughtering the souls of the Chosen on the Bloodstone in the Maguma jungle. This also helps the Mursaat because the Chosen were believed to help in the release of the Titans, and that eliminated any threat there. Then that's when the group of Ascalonian refugees discover and retaliate against the White Mantle after working for them. In which, of course, you guys have mentioned that the Shining Blade eventually intervenes, in which they join and become ascended, which infuses them with spectral essence, allowing them to see and withstand the Mursaat's abilities, which are described as agonizing. And we know the spell to be spectral agony in the game. So.
And if your armor's not infused, you go bye-bye really quickly.
And don't go to Thunderhead Keep with Naveen.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, we should probably mention that how you get your armor infused in the first place. Who does it for you?
Yeah.
One of you want to pick that up?
Sure, I can do that. It's this weird alien race called the Seers, which we don't know pretty much anything about outside of they're old and they predate humans as well.
And
we know
they're rivals to the Mursaat.
Yeah, basically, because they've had this long-standing war with the Mursaat, and basically in that time period, they found out a defense against the spectral agony. So they basically, you go to this one seer that you find in the Ice Caves of Sorrows, right?
That's a good question. I can't remember.
I think it's Ice Cave of Sorrows.
It could be. Well, I mean, there's like
believe
3
so.
places where you when you can get your armor infused, but I think you're right that Ice Cave of Sorrows one.
You know what? Actually, I think it's Iron Mines of Muldoon, actually.
Oh.
But either way. So
Look at you leading me to wrong places again.
Yeah, whatever. So he infuses your armor, and then you're no longer affected by spectral agony.
Right.
And I mean, like I said, they predated the humans. They predated the writing of the Tome of Rubicon, so that means the Mursaat and the Seer are older than I guess the dwarves, because the Tome of Rubicon contains the whole battle between the Great Dwarf, and the Great Destroyer. So we know that the entire race was not eliminated because there was at least this one guy left somewhere. And I believe there's, at some point you see, in the War and Credit, you can see, what's his face, Zin, or Blim, or one of them, extracting some sort of essence from our Mursaat. So there's at least 2, unless this is the same one. But we really don't.
After War in Krita, there's only one left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You mean one seer or one Mursaat?
One Mursaat.
Oh, okay. I meant he was extracting stuff from a seer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, which is weird that means the Asura obviously know about them and know that somehow the seer have this power over the Mursaat, which can further fuel the speculation of perhaps there was some, kind of tie between the Mursaat and the Asura, and like Alucardalina mentioned way at the beginning, or maybe it was Diint, I can't remember. We talked about the Sol d'Alessio getting carried away to a lush jungle somewhere.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, that was you. Okay. And then, you figure they're carried away to a lush jungle. The Asura are in the Tarnished Coast, which is a lush jungle. So maybe that's the whole carried away to this temple or wherever he was taken.
Actually, I have something on that.
Okay, well, let's hear it. Stop me here. Let's...
Radasum is an anagram of Mursaat.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So-
and you can actually spell, like Naveen had mentioned at some point, that Asura, you can spell Asura in Mursaat as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so they carry him off to this lush jungle somewhere, and we don't know where, but we know that the Asura came up and found some ancient magical ruins, and they know that the Seer are like the antithesis of the Mursaat somehow, which they're way older. And if you think about where only the couple of Seer that are in Guild Wars 1 are Southern Shiver Peaks and the Fire Island chain, very far away from the Tarnished Coast, so how would they know that there's this link between the Seer and the Mursaat? So, more speculation. But I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and there's a mini pet for a Seer. That's about it.
Yeah.
And a tonic that turns you into a Seer. So, I think that's pretty much it. But I'd be interested to see if we find any Seer or lore on the Seer at all in Guild Wars 2. So, there's, and then like we said, there's the Temple of the Unseen you find in the Silvari starting area.
Mm-hmm.
So, or the Ruins of the Unseen, rather.
Yeah.
I can't wait until game launches so we can go further down on that and not just a weekend to try and find everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Same here.
Yeah, because I think all that information you're going to find, just way past level whatever on your personal story and more,
Mm-hmm.
I'd really be happy to learn a little bit more about the lore, within that time range, but for now we're just going to have to wait until game release.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, Alucardalina, did you have anything else?
Just a few more.
Sure.
So yeah, after the heroes ascend and get their armor infused, they open the door to Kamali, which allows Vizier Kilbron to exterminate most of the Mursaat in the process of releasing the Titans on the world. But at least 8 Mursaat were known to have survived. One of them being Lazarus the Dyer, was present at the rise of the White Mantle, had split himself into the worthy White Mantle they had let live during the Char invasion. To get the power back, he had to kill the host. This allowed him to return to his true power. Only Justiciate Navid and an Asura Lagwyn were able to damage the aspect. And this caused the power to turn on Lazarus, and he fled to recover, promising that future generations would suffer as a result. His fate is unknown. The other 7 of them continued to lead the White Mantle until the end of the Crichton Civil War, and 7 of them were killed off during that. So
we know there's at least 1 Mursaat remaining in Guild Wars 2. Or at least, presumably, in Guild Wars 2. So, alright, well, thank you for that, Alucardalina. And Naveen, do you want to take on your little piece here?
Sure. Well, I mean, my piece was about the same topics, but within a Guild Wars 2 view. Because obviously they are going to be shown in that game too. That's one of the reasons why we're talking about it. In Guild Wars 2, let's go with the White Mantle. Now, the White Mantle, they're known in Guild Wars 2 as a very secretive, and well, despite the fact that we don't know where the Mursaats are, or even if they are still in Tyria, they hope that one day they will return. Now, I can't talk about the White Mantle without telling any spoilers from the human storyline within the game. So, I mean, if you don't want to hear any spoilers, skip ahead about 5 minutes from now. When you play a human and choose the unknown parent as the background, you'll be faced with the White Mantle basically from beginning to end. And it's in the Rending the Mantle questline. You'll get this from your personal stories journal. It's written, and I will quote, "I met with Mehid and Salia outside of the hunting lodge, and we broke open the cult. Apparently, the White Mantle is hiding behind bandit activities. They incite the impoverished citizens of Krita and use them to act against the Queen's servants. I returned to Captain Thackeray and showed him the list. He was very concerned, and we created a plan of attack against these bandits and their cult." / air quote. Basically, this brings us to a point. The White Mantle are linked to the bandits' activities, and there are more and more of them in Krita. We could speculate for hours on that subject, but I did find an interesting article on Guild Wars 2 Guru about that effect. I, don't usually go elsewhere than official information, but that guy in Guild Wars 2 Guru had, made some pretty cool points, and he's a player, and he compared all the versions of the human personal story about the unknown parents. Like, how you have those different paths you can take within that same story. He's found many symbols across the city as well that could be linked to the White Mantle. They're sort of like they're not letters or anything. They're just like the symbol, in Guild Wars 1, you had there's those specific logos type thing that would represent the White Mantle, the Shining Blade, etc. You find different versions of them in Guild Wars 2. And those were close, if not in, a bandit hideout. And I'll link the page in our comment box, and I'll let you be the judge of that. He took a few screenshots and just posted them in this thread. He's basically speculating that most of the bandits, if not all of them, could be White Mantle. So all the bandits that you run into in your human story could actually be White Mantle. It's a pretty interesting article about the White Mantle, and usually I tend, to take my information on official Guild Wars 2 sites and interviews with lore experts, but his article was very interesting. So I will be linking that in our little comment box. Since there's not much known about the White Mantle in Guild Wars 2, I didn't come up with anything else. So, did you guys know anything about the White Mantles in Guild Wars 2? Did you have anything to add?
Not outside of what you mentioned, because I played a majority of my human storyline as the didn't know the parent.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much everything you described is the extent of the White Mantle knowledge that I have.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll sort of go with the Shining Blade then.
Sure.
The Shining Blade. Well, Lagwyn mentioned it before in one of our old podcasts, but the Shining Blade are Queen Jenna's personal guard. And they're sworn to protect the royal family. They are basically unknown to most of the populace, and there's a reason for that. They conduct many of the spying operations, so the message deliveries and basically everything that's done in the shadows. They are military units of Krita, even if they are the smallest. Their leader is the Master Exemplar, and it's Countess Anise that's currently running it, and she was appointed by Queen Jenna when Queen Jenna took the throne. Anise had served in the Shining Blade for many years and actually acted as Queen Jenna's personal guard when she was very young, and to this day they've been very close friends. Aside from that, I mean, we don't have much information about them, but the more we will grow into the game, the more we'll be able to tell our listeners who they are and what they do exactly, aside from what we just told you. That's basically it. There's not a lot about the Shining Blade and White Mantle for the Guild Wars 2 aspect. But I am sure that within the few weeks after game launch, we'll be able to have much more information about them.
Mm-hmm. All right, and I think the Mursaat stuff for Guild Wars 2 we kind of covered. There's not a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in Guild Wars 2, they're not mentioned. We don't know if they still exist. We don't know if there's the one that's supposed to be still alive when Guild Wars 1 not ended, but I mean the storyline kind of stopped. Mm-hmm. He's not mentioned in Guild Wars 2 as far as we know.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure that it's not the last time we're going to see them.
I'm sure.
Mm.
Well, think about it this way, that what if there's one seer, there's one Mursaat left. Mm-hmm. What if there's a big war between the both?
Yeah.
That would make for a very interesting storyline. I doubt it's going to happen, though.
Well, you never know. I mean, especially... Well, I think it's been theorized that the Isles of Janthier are where the Mursaat are from. And we know that exists in Guild Wars 2. We know whereabouts that it is from. I think it's actually from the maps that are included in the various... maybe it's not in the maps in the front of the books, but either way.
You mean those you can find in-game?
No. I'm just talking about the maps that are in either one of the novels. But
okay.
I know. I don't think it's not in Edge of Destiny, so I'm looking at that right now. But either way, we know that they do exist, the Isles of Janthier, and I think we know right about where they are. But I don't think they're going to be accessible in this game, but maybe in an expansion, and maybe that'll... further, if there's a Mursaat home world, as it were, and like a home town, over on those isles. Because, like I said, I don't know if that's official, but I believe it's speculated that that's where they came from.
Right.
So maybe at some point.
Maybe. Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Because then it was like, you guys build the whole storyline in Guild Wars 1, and we're left hanging in Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm pretty sure we're going to see them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So far, I guess. Oh, what's up, Alucardalina?
I mean, there are some theories on the Mursaat, if you guys want to hear them.
Yeah,
sure.
Like fans. Some of the people actually compare them to the Morganites due to appearance, or that they could be like the opposite or fallen of the Mursaat. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, that's true.
I never even thought of that before. They are kind of similar in the way they look. Huh. Didn't even cross my mind.
I have to see a screenshot. Morganites.
Oh, Naveen.
No, Naveen. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I was like, yeah, Morganites. Wait, that rings a bell. But now I remember. All you had to say is Nightfall, and then I'm like, oh! Right, those things! With the purpley wings.
Yeah.
On a similar note, people have pointed out that the enchanted armor looks a lot like Mursaat armor, but it's kind of been stated that there's probably no relation.
Probably. Yeah, but they are very similar.
Yes.
Huh. And if not, I mean, where do they come from, aside from the whole Abaddon thing.
Well, like we said, Abaddon's pretty much the answer for everything in Guild Wars 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of plays off of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the dragons are the answer for everything in Guild Wars 2, Abaddon's Guild Wars 1.
Right. Oh, Abaddon.
That was a good point, Alucardalina. I definitely didn't even think about that.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe it's because I spent the least amount of time in Nightfall.
I did too. So.
I mean, I beat it and everything. I just, that was the one I spent the least amount of time in. Huh. So.
Wait a minute.
If you read the discussion page on the Guild Wars wiki for the Mursaat, there's a big conversation about the Morganites and the enchanted armor there.
Oh yeah.
It's actually a very interesting read.
I'll have to check that out.
And before you said that the Mursaat I had 3 toes, I'd never noticed before.
Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, I never noticed that either.
And don't the Asura have 3 toes too?
Yes.
Yeah.
They do.
So many links!
I know. It's getting a little bit I'm pretty sure. Oh, also there's a Mursaat polymorph piece.
Yeah.
There's a tonic and miniature like the Seers as well. Also, the Mursaat are not infused. Spectral agony can kill them.
Huh. That's interesting. Not immune to your own powers. Yeah.
I found that pretty interesting.
Really.
I just came across another speculation about the Mursaat, that they look a lot like the Enchanted in in the Crystal Desert where you fight all those you have those 3 huge quests.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the enchanted armor.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear enchanted. Sorry.
Yeah.
But now you can see how similar they are.
Yeah, exactly. They have the... I wonder if that's meant to be, or it's just like the concept artist was just like, kind of feeling lazy today. I'm just going to take that skin, paste it on another thing.
One of the staff actually came in and commented, and where the wiki says that it's been confirmed that there is no relation, the person, the staff member themselves, actually says that there's probably no relation. They can't find anything on it, but they'd have to ask around.
Huh.
Alright, well, that's more crazy Mursaat-based speculations out there. So, got anything else for us, Alucardalina? That was a good one.
Not anything else other than Mantle and the Mursaat rally.
Well, yeah, I might as well throw that out there. That doesn't really fit into any one of our specific topics, so.
Yeah, at one point in Eye of the North, they did the Mursaat rally, which it was non-canon, but it looked pretty fun from what I saw. You had a sign that said "Unseen but not unheard." I found that hilarious. But
yeah, that's pretty funny. I wish I had been around or paid attention to that. I would have gone there.
Yeah, me too.
Did they have a Mursaat show up during that or something?
Yeah, they came and killed the townspeople.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
I don't know, sounds canon to me. I was going to say, they're bringing in Mursaat, so...
And then you have Mantle. I don't think it's been running for the past few years, but it was a player-run event, and it gave out information on the White Mantle and the Mursaat and everything. They had trivia and prizes and games, costume contests, speeches, collection events, pretty much anything you could ever think of to get free items. I don't know how they did the costume contest, but...
Yeah, that would be interesting. I think Guild Wars 1. Mix and match armor sets, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
All right. Well, thank you again for that information, Alucardalina.
No problem.
Yeah, I think unless anybody has anything else they want to add, I think we're pretty much
Yeah, I
gonna
think
come up to the end here.
we covered most of what we needed to cover.
Yeah, I think so.
And if anyone has more information about Guild Wars 2 regarding the White Mantle, the Shining Blade, the Mursaat, and all that related, please do comment on our channel's comment box or, wherever you can find us. And we'll make sure to mention that on our next podcast.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, and the only other thing that's not really Mursaat or anything related that Naveen and I talked about the other night that I just kind of thought was interesting and speculative, so I figured I'd toss it in here. You finish all the campaigns, then they came out with the War in Kryta, which sums up the Prophecy storyline. Then they come out with the Hearts of the North, which kind of finishes up the Eye of the North storyline. Then they come out with Winds of Change, which finishes up the Canthan faction storyline, and Alona has nothing.
Yep. What's going on, Ilona? What's going
They're all
on there?
dying.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you think about it, it would like all the other stuff they did kind of sets you up, not directly for Guild Wars 2, but gives you more information. And I feel like they may have possibly thought, like, you know what? We probably should do something for Alona, but now the game's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I really don't think... And I know a lot of the live team, obviously they're not doing new content for, like, festivals or anything, so I think a lot of them have moved on, and it's been confirmed that a lot of them have moved to Guild Wars 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just think we're never going to find out what happens with Alona till we get an Alonian expansion.
Right.
But
I wonder if we could get an expansion in Guild Wars 2 that would be like a flashback of whatever happened in Alona, and then you have to play through it.
That would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Or like even a flashback of Cantha, when the way was blocked and everything. Oh man. That would be cool.
Yeah.
To relive what happened between Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2.
Guild Wars 1.5.
Yeah. Nice one.
That would be sweet. I actually would really like that, and then we get to play all that stuff in Guild Wars 2 graphics.
Oh man, then we can jump.
I know, right?
That's crazy.
Or they just turn off jump for the flashback.
Oh no, I have to click to move now.
That'd be funny.
AWSD not working no more. No.
Yeah, right. So, all right. Well, I think unless anybody has anything else they want to mention, we'll kind of wrap this up and we can close this out. Everybody good?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, everyone. So for Chronicles of Tyria podcast, episode number 11, the Mursaat. We'd like to reach out and thank you again to Alucardalina from Project Tyria for coming out and helping us out with yet another episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back if we come up with any other stuff related to, I don't know, Mursaat or especially
part 2.
Or we make a part 2. Yeah, when we find out stuff in Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to be back.
Yeah, so you just have to let us know if there's any other Guild Wars lore-related stuff that you are, quote, expert on. I mean, you spend enough time running around in Guild Wars 1, so... yeah, and alright, so for, again, CoTPodcast, I'm Lagwyn.
I'm Diint.
And I'm Naveen.
And we'll see you next time. And Alucardalina. And we'll see we'll see you next time.
Hey guys, it's Naveen. I just wanted to give a shout out to Kaae. I think her name is pronounced. It's Kaae. And she made a Guild Wars 2 fan video / music parody that is based on the Lennon sisters, the Scarborough Fair. I will link to it in the comments below, but I will also put it right there at the end of this show, right after my rambling right now. I just wanted to give a shout out to her because she did an amazing job with for a song called Ruins of Ore. So if you guys want to download it, it's available on SoundCloud. I think it would be very cool if one of you guys could come up with a video, like do a Guild Wars 2 video with using that song. I'm pretty sure that Kaae would love to see that. Of course, give her credit because I'm sure she worked hard on that song. So without further ado, here's Ruins of Ore by Kaae.
Are you going to the ruins of Ore? Zhaitan's lair in Arah waits. Heed the call, for Tyria's no more. Halt Zhaitan before it's too late. Weapons and all who can stand. Zhaitan's lair in Arah waits. Look past all your grievances across the land. Stop Zhaitan before hope abates. Tyria is calling for a hero of legend. Zhaitan's lair in Arah waits. For someone who'll be a vanquisher destined, who'll face Zhaitan at Arah's black gate. Are you going to the ruins of Ore? Zhaitan's lair in Arah waits. Heed the call, for Tyria's no more. Tyria's no more. Zhaitan before